Hi, Red Side. We're doing some ASMR reading today. I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you guys have lots of fun. We are in the middle of reading the No Sleep. I'm actually quite a bit of the ways through, and I didn't realize that I didn't have Red Side up. So you guys are just gonna get the middle of the story. We'll start from a place that makes sense. Now it's kind of quiet. Oh, I see. I can fix that. You can be a lover fighter. Hello, hello. Is this a little bit better? How's this? Hi, Choco. We're doing a ASMR stream today. Welcome in, welcome in. We're reading scary stories and we're going to read some drama stories later. But today is going to be more of a peaceful stream. Thank you for hydrating me, Aki. I will do so. I wonder if you guys will be able to hear this. You just jumped. Oh, did you now? Hi, Choco. I'm here now. Welcome in. I hope you enjoy the stream. I hope you're having a lot of fun. We're gonna be chilling today, and we're just gonna be reading some stories, nothing crazy. I hope you enjoyed me traveling from ear to ear. The next incident happened 3 days later. It was around 2 a.m., and I had woken up to get a drink. I was standing at the kitchen island, jug of orange juice in hand, when I felt a strong feeling that I was being watched. For whatever reason, I looked down at the floor and saw my wife's smiling face staring back. She was peeking at me from the other side of the island, staring up at me with wide, unblinking eyes, and grinning like the Cheshire Cat. I screamed, I'll admit it, not out of irritation, but fear. For some reason, at that moment, I was scared. Yeah. Oh dear, did you not like the ear traveling, Choco? You didn't enjoy that? At the sound of my scream, Lynn scuttled backwards out of my view, her hand and feet smacking the tile floor as she hurried out of the kitchen on all fours. I didn't run after her, or even yell after her. I just stood there, frozen in shock, wondering what the fuck had possessed her to do that. It took me a little longer than I'd like to admit to go back upstairs, but eventually I did. When I got to our bedroom, Lynn was lying on her side, asleep, or at least pretending to be. I stood there for a while, watching her breathe to be sure she was really asleep. I had the feeling she might jump out at me the moment I got into bed, but she didn't. I climbed into bed, and she didn't even move. Her breathing was soft and deep, and I was starting to wonder if I'd dreamt the whole thing. The next morning, I waited for her to come down for coffee, and after handing her a mug and kissing her cheek, I decided to ask her about it. What was that last night? I asked, keeping my tone light so I didn't offend or embarrass her. She frowned over her cup of coffee, shaking her head like she had no clue what I was referring to. Okay, good night, Choco. Maybe you can fall asleep listening to the stream. You were peeking at me again. From over there, I said, pointing at the spot on the floor by the kitchen table. She followed my gaze, and when she looked back at me, she burst out laughing. She laughed so hard I couldn't help but join her. You creep the fuck out of me sometimes, you know that? I said. She giggled and set her cup on the counter and wrapped her arms around my neck. You creep me out all of the time, so I guess we're even, she teased. We said our goodbyes and left for work. As I drove, I kept thinking about how creepy it had been seeing her grinning at me from behind the island like that. The sounds her hands made on the floor as she crawled away. I told myself she was just trying to be silly, just trying to join me in my love of all things horror. Don't encourage me, my sleep is fucked up enough. It's okay. I'm here. You can sleep if you'd like. Tubo will take care of you. All the volume-related sound effects are turned down today. It's not like I'm afraid of her, but it still didn't sit right with me. I started seeing her peeking at me, more and more. Sometimes she'd be peeking out from behind the couch or living room curtains. Once she even managed to get inside her grandmother's old truck that sits at the foot of our bed. Old truck. Old trunk. I wish I could read. Sometimes she even manages to get inside her grandmother's old trunk that sits at the foot of our bed. I might not have even known she was there at all had the truck's old hinges not given her away. I said truck again. It's almost 3 a.m.? Okay. She had the lid propped up just enough so that only half of her face peeked through. She'd been grinning like an excited toddler. It was unnerving. I didn't even know what to say to her. All I could do was stare. When I finally found my voice, I asked her why on earth she was doing this. She didn't answer, but she had slowly closed the lid, shutting herself inside the trunk. I just walked away, feeling disturbed. I'll try to eat. Okay, Viper, sounds good. I didn't quite understand why she was doing it, but it clearly made her happy. I just hoped she would tire of the game quickly. Lynn didn't peek at me for almost 2 weeks. I started to think she was done with her weird prank, and I was relieved. We were watching a show on Netflix one night, and I jokingly said I hadn't seen her peeking at me lately, and that she must have given up on her spy game. She looked up at me with a small smile and said, "Maybe I've just gotten better at it." I didn't say anything, but I wondered whether or not she was joking. For the next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about what she'd said. Was she still peeking at me when I wasn't looking and just hadn't noticed? And if so, what the hell was she getting out of this? I started to feel paranoid, constantly checking whether she was home or watching around the corner or behind a door. I was jumpy when I was home, and she wasn't in full view of me. I felt stupid and a little crazy. But after a few weeks, without another incident, I began to relax. I stopped checking behind furniture and walls and told myself it was just a bad memory. Then, a few days ago, things got so much worse. Lynn left to go to a friend's, and I lounged on the couch and played a couple games on my laptop. Around 9 p.m., I hopped in the shower, and as I was washing the soap from my hair, I felt that awful feeling that I was being watched. I slowly opened my eyes and almost had a fucking heart attack. Lynn was peeking from behind the shower curtain. Her entire head stretched into the shower, leaving just her body outside. Her long, dark hair hung against the curtain, the ends dripping with water. Her mouth hung open in a terrible grin, eyes wide and red, as if she hadn't blinked in a while. I screamed and jumped back against the wall. She didn't move, nor did her smile waver. Her makeup ran down her cheeks in 2 black streaks. She looked giddy and completely deranged. I was fucking terrified. We stood like that for a few moments, neither of us saying a word. Finally, after what felt like forever, she slowly pulled her head back out of the shower, and I watched her blurry figure through the curtain as she moved backwards towards the bathroom door. A second later, the bathroom door slammed shut, hard enough to rattle the mirror. I screamed again and jumped out of the shower to lock the door. I stayed inside the bathroom for over an hour. Maybe I overreacted to some of you, but joke or not, I wasn't going to put up with the crazy shit anymore. That's what I kept telling myself as I paced in my bathroom, stopping to listen at the door every few moments. Suddenly, I heard a muffled sound, and I pressed my ear against the bathroom door, straining to listen. I couldn't hear anything, but I envisioned Lynn standing on the other side of the door, giggling at her joke. I felt a surge of anger. I was way beyond pissed at being made to feel scared in my own house and made to hide in the bathroom for an hour. All for what? Some joke. If it was a joke, it was an awful one. What the fuck, Lynn? I snapped. This shit is getting really fucking annoying. I waited for her to apologize or to call me a jerk, but instead I heard a faint moan, so quiet I wondered if I heard it at all. Then complete silence. Thank you for the chin scritches, you and the stinky puppy. What the fuck did I walk in on? Tobo is doing some lovely ASMR, and I will be reading some scary stories for you while walking around you just like this. Hello, hello. I hope that this can be a soothing time for you. Welcome in. I'm scared eats Tubo's tail. Please don't eat my tail. Don't be scared. You have to stay. Missing no, thank you for checking in with your 49th bucket. How is Tubo? I'm good, Yuna. Thank you for asking. I do not feel very ASMR'd. Why not? Here, I got you. Come here. Is this good? There you go. Thank you for looking, Choco. He doesn't know his tail is gone. Please don't eat my tail, sweet. Don't do this to Boo Batman. No. This is more of a calmer reading volume. Batman is more like, hello, I'm Batman. Oh, 1 second. I return. Tastes like the marshmallow. Oh gosh. I just got off work and this is what I open stream to. Yeah, it's a little horror story for you guys. I hear no difference in tone. You're Batman. Oh, so cool. Guess I'm Batman. Lynn, I called out, not able to even hide the shakiness in my voice. I got no response. Just my own heavy breathing. Thank you for throwing things at me, Choco. I swear to God, just fucking stop it, I yelled, pounding my fist on the door. Don't run away, you have to stay, you have to hear the whole story out, Choco. Thought this was a fanfic? No, if we're doing horror. I waited for her to cuss me out, something I would expect from me talking to her like that. I never screamed at her before. But there was nothing, just the occasional drip from the shower head. Oh, I can make a water droplet sound, ready? Was that too loud? I don't know how loud that was. I'm so sorry. I made that with my face, if anyone is curious. I won't deny that I was scared, too afraid to open the damn door and face my own wife. I waited another 30 minutes or so, which feels like a fucking lifetime when you're scared. Finally, I decided I was going to spend the night hiding in my bathroom, so I got down on my knees and peered under the door. I almost expected to see her face peeking back at me, but thankfully, I didn't. I could see straight down the hallway to the top of the stairs, but no Lynn. I didn't know if I should be happy about that or not. I looked for a few minutes, waiting to see her head pop up under the top step. Over the top step, but it never came. Plot twist it is. Oh, no, it's not a fan. Oh, you can do that too? Yeah, I can. It was part of my beatboxing. You sound like a serial killer. I do. Good. I'm reading scary stories for Mista. Mista, you want to hear my effects? Ready? Hello. I'm Tubo, your local animal spirit guide who is doing ASMR today. I hope you enjoy the ASMR time. In fact, why don't we can get a little closer? Oh, that's my belly button. Sorry. There we go. Nice and close for you guys. Yeah, it's Mita. Thanks for throwing things at me, Yuna. I just like making weird noises when I was alone. Yeah, me too. Why are you purring? Cover up, Tubo. You're the one who put me in this outfit. I'm as covered up as I could be. Thank you for the heart, Chaos. I appreciate it. I stood up, my hand hovering over the door, mentally preparing myself to open it. I slowly turned the lock with shaky fingers and was about to yank it open when I heard a sound that still makes me feel nauseous when I think about it. A moan louder than before, but this time I was able to tell where it was coming from. I turned my head to the closet door, as if in slow motion, and locked eyes with my wife, who was peeking out at me from the slight gap. Her eyes were still wide as ever, and her mouth was hanging open in the most grotesque, gaping smile I'd ever seen. I didn't even scream. I was too scared for even that. Her hands were clasped to her chest, body trembling with sheer delight, as if she could barely contain her excitement. A short, raspy moan bubbled up from her throat, deep and raw, sending a shiver through my entire body. Feel like I'm gonna get a comment about that, aren't I? Scared to take a shower, scared of his wife. Deep and raw. Yeah, I knew it. Thank you for lurking, Mitta. We're like Spooky Puppy. We're Spoopy Puppy today. Where's its hug at? Where more hug at? Somehow, I found the ability to pull the bathroom door open and ran as fast as I could all the way down the steps, snagging my keys and phone from the table in the living room before running outside to my car. I could hear her shrill laughter behind me, but I didn't hear her getting closer. I didn't bother shutting the front door. I drove away from the house faster than I legally should have, shivering the entire time, either from fear or the cold, maybe a little bit of both. I didn't grab a coat or even a pair of shoes. I was still in my boxers and my hair was still damp. I drove straight to my brother's Chris's house, about 40 minutes away, ignored any and every call and text I got. I didn't check my phone until I was safely parked in my brother's driveway. Lynn had called 4 times. I sent a flurry of texts, all wondering where I'd gone and why I left like that. I threw my phone at the dash in a rage, furious at her nonchalant attitude. My brother and his wife were surprised to see me, especially dressed in just a pair of boxers, but told me to stay as long as I needed. Chris lent me some clothes and asked me what happened. I told him Lynn and I had a fight, but didn't go into the details. I didn't want him to think I was overreacting. Leaving my wife over a prank, even if it was a strange one. I mean, hadn't I encouraged her for years to lighten up instead of being so serious all of the time? I just wanted her to relax and loosen up, but this was definitely not what I had in mind. Hi, mister. Yes, say hi to each other. Yes, good job, please. Thank you, thank you. I tried to sleep on their sofa, but my brain wouldn't let me sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Lynn's face, staring at me from inside that closet. Knowing she'd been in there with me the entire time made my skin crawl. She'd never left the fucking bathroom at all. Instead, she slipped inside the closet and slammed the bathroom door shut to fool me. Hi, Council. Welcome in. I'm doing ASMR today. I hope that you enjoy me traveling across your ear holes and that you have a good time with me while we talk. Thank you for being here. Hi, hi. The mere thought of going back home gave me anxiety. I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Chris ended up giving me a sleeping pill, so I was able to get a little rest. My sleep was filled with terrible dreams. All of Lynn's smiling face. I woke up just as the sun started to rise. My sore body ached from the sofa, and I felt drained. I knew I'd have to call in at some point, but I didn't know what to say to her. I wouldn't be going home unless she gave me her word she'd never do more creepy shit. I just wanted my life back. I meant to say wife. I said life. I just got a spine chill. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed that. I just wanted my wife back. Her normal, serious self never looked so good to me. I was contemplating calling her and telling her that when that familiar feeling came over me. I was being watched. Thank you for leashing me, Missing. No, you don't own me, but I appreciate it. I was staring at the ceiling, my heart in my throat. I didn't want to look away, But the longer I ignored the feeling, the worse it got. My eyes drifted away from the ceiling, almost on their own. Her face was pressed up against the window, beside the couch, staring down at me with that same gaping smile. Drool dribbled down her lips, leaving 2 long streaks down the glass. I didn't know how long she'd been there, but something told me she'd been there for quite a while, possibly all night. I didn't bother screaming, though I was afraid anger triumphed any fear I felt at the moment. I jumped up from the couch and pounded my palm against the glass. "Lynn, are you crazy? What the hell is wrong with you? Just go home," I shouted. "Now." She didn't move, and her ghastly expression never changed. If anything, her smile only grew, as if she had never been more elated. I could hear Chris and his wife moving around upstairs, as if Lynn could hear them from her place outside. Her head twitched slightly in their direction, and she began to close her mouth slowly. Chris called my name from upstairs, obviously concerned. I turned to see him and his wife, Rebecca, hurrying down the steps. When I turned back to the window, Lynn was gone. The only sign she'd been there at all were the 2 streaks of drool still dripping down the glass. I tried to explain to Chris and Rebecca about waking up to see Lynn watching me through their window. They were skeptical, but who wouldn't be? Chris and I went outside to the spot in front of the window, but there were no footprints in the dirt, just a slight indent. Animal, probably, Chris guessed. And I didn't argue. He and Rebecca assumed I dreamt the entire episode, but they didn't understand, and I was too tired to explain to them. I have a post-it note saying so. The post-it notes are not law. You don't own me. I called out of work that day, turned my cell off. I didn't want to face Lynn. Just talking to her was too much for me at that point. I really started to believe something was irreversibly wrong with her, that no matter what promises she made, we'd never be the same again. That thought saddened me to my core. One second. Oh no, I'm missing YouTube side. Hi, YouTube side. Is there anyone over there? Sorry about that. Did I miss you guys? Let me see, let me scroll. Make sure I have that. Hi, Dalek Rando. I have come. It is me, Minos. Hi, Minos. Welcome in. You notice me? Sorry, old friend Minos. I have changed my name. Oh, yes, welcome in. I'm so sorry. Who the hell are you? The Oracle. Oh my goodness, you guys were yapping over there. I didn't see it. Thank you for letting me know. Welcome in. We're doing ASMR scary readings. I appreciate bark. Yes, thank you guys for barking at me to get my attention. How very effective. Welcome in, Minos. The resistance is fighting back. Welcome in. Ow. We're doing some scary story readings today. Doing a little bit of ASMR. So we're having some fun. Welcome in. I hope you enjoyed that. Ow, thank you. How have you been, Minos? How's your day going? I called out of work that day and turned my cell off. I didn't want to face Lynn. Just talking to her was too much for me at that point. I really started to believe something was irreversibly wrong with her, that no matter what promises she made, we'd never be the same again. That thought saddened me to my core. I cried most of the morning. By noon, I figured I was ready to confront her. Give her one last chance to explain herself. I could at least give her that after 6 years, I told myself. I turned my phone on and saw the dozens of texts she sent, all from a seemingly concerned wife. Helldivers is going to show. Yeah, I've heard there's a big event going on for Helldivers. Can we talk? She said. I love you. Please call me. I'm really worried. Can you answer? Just come home. And more of the same. All texts telling me she loved me, and she wanted me home. How worried she was, not a damn one, addressing the crazy shit she pulled, like she hadn't been acting like a character from a Stephen King book. Losing a lot? Oh no, I'm sorry. I hope you guys are able to get that ground back. Like I'm trying to bad time. What's going on? Hi, Finnegan. We are doing a Subathon award. We're doing some ASMR and reading some scary stories. So I'll be over here moving around and hanging out, having a good time. Welcome in, welcome in. But yeah, hi, Finnegan. Hi, Llama, welcome in. We're doing some lovely ASMR, so I'll be going around the world having fun. I'm over here. Now I'm over here. We're reading some scary stories and doing some ASMR readings. Hi, how are you? I hope that you can listen to this and just enjoy and hopefully find it a little bit relaxing as we hang out. Hi, Dragon, welcome in. We're doing some ASMR reading and I'm going from ear to ear, making sure that you have some enjoyable time and we hang out. We're doing a little scariness. I can't say Arizona might be popping in and out. That's okay, Llama, don't worry. I won't be doing most of the ear thing. I'm just doing that to say hi. Crashed my stream in the beginning, so no worries. Squid but silent, yes, of course. I know it probably seems childish to some of you. Even her texts were different. She normally texts novels just to tell me to pick up a loaf of bread. You'd think she'd have even more to say to me after her bizarre shenanigans. I know it probably seems childish to some of you who are miles away from this situation, but if you saw the way Lynn had looked at me, how she scampered away on all fours like some wild animal, grinning at me from inside the closet like a lunatic, then I think you'd find my reaction was warranted. I ended up staying with Chris and Rebecca for another night. I didn't wake up yesterday until afternoon, and thankfully I didn't see Lynn's face watching me through the window. I don't want to pry, because it's not my place, but is this fight something that can be mended? Rebecca asked. She'd made us both a sandwich for lunch, and I knew she wanted to breach the subject without seeming to be nosy. I'll be back. I'm getting my subtitles so I can stay here for a bit. Okie dokie, sounds good. I don't know. She's like a different person, I said, choosing my words carefully. I still wasn't ready for her or Chris to know the full extent of that batshit craziness I had been dealing with. People change, Ben. But she's still the same woman you married. Maybe you both just need to talk through your issues. Whatever's going on, I'm sure it can be fixed, she said, ever the peacemaker. I think it's beyond that now. I don't think talking would help. I just don't trust her, I said. The words stung in my heart. I missed and loved my wife, but how could I live with someone like that? Living in constant fear didn't sound too appealing. Lynn loves you. She has to be absolutely crushed, she said. I don't know about that, I said. Well, she certainly seemed like it to me. I've never seen her so upset. Very much unlike the Lynn I know, Rebecca said, shaking her head sadly. It took a full minute for her words to really sink in, and when they did, I felt dread worming its way through my skin. Wait. What do you mean? You saw her? You saw Lynn? I asked, my mouth suddenly dry. Rebecca nodded casually, as if the fact wasn't nightmare fuel. Maybe for her it wasn't. She stopped by this morning, just after Chris left for work, she said, cleaning the plates from the table. I didn't see her car, though. Maybe she took an Uber or something. Beck, what did she say? Did she come inside? I asked, sweat starting to break out on my forehead. I began looking around, examining corners as though a predator lurked behind them. No, she just asked if you were awake yet, and I said that you weren't. I asked if she wanted me to wake you, but she said no. Just said to let you sleep, she said as she washed the dishes. Come inside. Damn. Welcome to the best part of your life. That's all? She didn't say anything else? I asked. I said I was working so I should be here. Yay, thank you, Llama. I appreciate you. I'll be sure to over-dictate so that you can, read me better. That's all? She didn't say anything else? I asked. No, she looked awful, though, as if she hadn't slept in days. I think you should call her. I got up from the table and thanked Rebecca for lunch. I felt a little better at the knowledge that at least she hadn't come inside, though I needed to double-check that the doors were locked. Bye, Dalek. Thank you for being here. That's pretty scary. I am assuming that she hasn't gone home at all yet, that she's been watching him this whole time. I sat for a while, trying to figure out what to do next. I didn't want to go home, but I felt that I owed it to Lynn to help her if I could. Hadn't I sworn an oath to love her and honor her through sickness and in health? Clearly, she was very sick. If she was sick, which I truly believed that she was, I had to try and get her the help she needed, but I didn't even know where to start. I didn't want to call the police, and besides, what the hell was I going to tell them? That my wife was peeking at me, that she was being creepy? As bizarre as she's been, she still hasn't committed any crimes, not yet anyway. Police would have probably said that I was overreacting, but this wasn't some prank. It felt wrong. Dangerous, even, like something sinister lurked beneath her smile. Tuba with a wife? Tuba reading a horror story, you silly. I knew as her husband, I was well within my rights to have her committed. But what if she simply acted normal in their presence? She'd obviously been able to fool Rebecca into thinking she was just a concerned wife. As long as the doctors didn't find her a danger to herself or others, they'd have no choice but to release her after 72 hours. I felt lost and overwhelmed. Having a wife does sound horrifying. It does. Hi, Jingle. Welcome in. Guess what we're doing? We're doing some ASMR, so I'll be looping around you guys, talking nice and quietly, going from ear to ear, saying hello this way. Hi. Drink my soda. Hi, Otopo. Hi, Jingle. It's like, it's having a wife that sounds terrifying, yes. Women are very scary. It's lovely. Thank you, Jingle. I appreciate it. Can confirm that having a wife is terrifying. I'm so sorry, Yellow Card. Yes, wives do appear to be very horrifying. Topo gracing my ears. Yes, I can go from one to the other. Hello, I'm in this ear. Now I walk over here. Hi, hi. Ooh-doo-doo-doo. Isn't it lovely? Tuba sounds absolutely lovely right now. Thank you, Jingle. I appreciate it. Especially swans. Swans are pretty scary, I agree. Thanks for the heart, Jingle. Joke's on you, I only have one earbud in. Oh, I also do Taku. It's giving Howls from Howl's Moving Castle English. Oh, I'm very flattered. Guess which ear, Taku? The middle one. Oh, we have an ad. Hello. Yeah, say hi to each other. So I did what any husband in my position would do. I called her mother. I don't want to, believe me. Her mother, Marianne, and I were never on the best of terms. We'd never fought or anything like that. She just wasn't a very warm person and wasn't very easy to get along with. She hardly ever smiled, and when she did, only her lips would move into a thin-lipped smile, leaving her eyes as blank as before. She gave off this aura that felt like she was permanently on the offense. And putting Tube in the orb? Why? What did I do? What have I done? I'd only met her twice, and both times were for such short visits. I got the impression she didn't approve of me for her daughter. Lynn always ushered us out quickly, as if she didn't want me to feel uncomfortable, which I was grateful for. Being in her mother's company felt almost unbearable, like walking on glass. I was glad when we moved 3 states away so we didn't have to see her often. I was happy to avoid the woman, but I didn't needed her help. I'm going to have you quiet enough so I can still kind of hear you, not enough. Yay, I'm good. I'm good. That's good, Llama. I'm glad. I really didn't want to talk to her at all, but I had to talk to someone, and someone who knew Lynn better than I did. So I grit my teeth, and I did what I had to. Yes, she answered, already sounding irritated. Marianne, it's me, Ben. Do you have a minute to talk? I asked. I could hear her cluck her tongue in irritation. I'm in the middle of writing some checks, but if you insist, I suppose I could spare a moment. What is it that you want to discuss, Benjamin? She said coolly. It's about Lynn. She's been acting strangely, and I was wondering if you had any idea whether there was something. I was quickly interrupted. It's a bit difficult to follow your rambling, Benjamin. What is it you want from me? She asked. I could almost see her standing there in her thin sweater and slacks, tapping her fingernails impatiently on the table. I wanted to know if you've ever noticed any odd behavior or possibly any mental health issues, I asked. There was a long, uncomfortable pause. That I couldn't tell because she was just thinking or something else. Can you do a Yowie ASMR next? This Twitch site is purple. I am not on a blue site. Finally, after a few seconds, she spoke. I'm not sure if this is one of your jokes, Benjamin, but if so, I don't find the humor in it. Now I do have business to attend to, so if you don't mind. She said, but I cut her off before she could get rid of me. Marianne, it's not a joke. I'm sincerely concerned about Lynn's mental health. Her behavior has been very erratic lately. I'm very worried about her, and I figured out as her mother you would as well, I said, my frustration evident in my voice. She shat. I'm sorry. Did I hear Yowie? You did. If you're truly concerned, then I suggest you get the mental health professionals involved. I don't know what you expect of me, she snapped. I could tell she was seconds away from hanging up, and for some reason I was desperate not to let her. I had a feeling she knew a lot more than she was letting on. Please, if not for me, do it for Lynn, I tried. I heard a shaky intake of breath, as if she were trying to hold her steely persona together, but failing. Marianne? What's wrong? I started. Benjamin, I don't know what to tell you. My only advice would be to seek professional help. Do not call here again. Goodbye. I tried to call out to her, but she'd hung up. I tried to wrap my head around the call and her refusal to help me. Even if she didn't like me, why wouldn't she want to help her own daughter? I couldn't understand it. I tried to replay the conversation, desperate to find something I had missed. After a while, I almost gave up, until I remembered her last word to me. Seek professional help. She said those words with a bit of urgency. I could just grasping at straws, but no. I was sure her voice had changed ever so slightly when she said that, as if they were very important. What had she meant? I assumed she'd been referring to medical professionals, but maybe she was referring to someone else. Someone that she didn't, for some reason, feel comfortable saying directly. Or maybe I was just being desperate. I waited for Chris to get home, and after a long and exhausting conversation with him and Rebecca, I convinced them that Lynn truly needed psychiatric help. I didn't tell them everything. I wasn't prepared to go into it yet. But I told them about our last encounter. How she'd hidden in the bathroom, peeking at me from the closet. They were obviously shocked, but thankfully they believed me. They too just wanted to help her. Still, they didn't think it was all that serious. Weird, maybe, but not dangerous. They just kept saying that Lynn had to be playing some kind of weird joke. Maybe for YouTube? Rebecca offered, if only half-heartedly. Chris didn't think we should involve the police just yet. He offered and said to go with me. And I readily accepted. He reasoned that calmly talking to her, trying to coax her into going willingly, was the best recourse. I agreed to do it his way. At least, I wouldn't be going to the house alone. We drove over this morning, just after breakfast. There was no way I was going at night. When he pulled into the driveway, my stomach began doing somersaults. Her car wasn't there, but I still didn't let my guard down. The front door was ajar, and for a split second, I thought we'd see her eyes staring through the gap. I was shaking and started to sweat. Chris, however, was fine. He waited for me to open the door, his hand in his pocket, like he was going on a fucking stroll through the park. I envied his ignorance. I pushed the door open and was immediately hit with the stench of rot. Chris smelled it too, and he walked in the house behind me with his nose scrunched up. "What did you guys use to clean the floors around here? Shit?" Chris mumbled. "Shut up," I said, my eyes darting for any signs of Lynn. The house was deadly quiet and dark. Despite being 10 in the morning, all the curtains were closed up tight, refusing to allow sunlight inside. Even if I hadn't left it just 2 days prior, I'd have thought the house had been abandoned. We moved through each room, carefully checking any place that she might hide, occasionally calling her name. "Why the fuck are you looking under the couch?" Chris asked eventually. "Aren't we looking for your wife?" He was looking at me like I was a moron. "Just go upstairs," I whispered. He shook his head, but followed me up to the stairs to check the bathroom and spare bedroom. On the way, my shoes crunched over pieces of glass that looked to be littered over a few of the steps. "Hi, JT, welcome in." Sorry. I noticed that one of Lynn and my wedding portraits that hung up on the wall along the staircase had been smashed. The frame hung crookedly, all the glass removed. I looked at the picture, a lump forming in my throat. We had taken the photo just after leaving the church. After saying our vows, she looked so beautiful in her white gown. I looked at Lynn's beautiful face. I never dreamed her face would be a source of terror for me. We climbed the rest of the steps and checked the spare bedroom, but it looked completely untouched. I was hesitant to go into the bathroom, my fear from that night coming back to me all at once. Chris noticed and offered to go in by himself, but I couldn't let him do it, so we walked in together, checked the closet and the shower. The bathroom looked as if it hadn't been touched since the night I left. "I don't think she's here, Ben. Why don't you pack some clothes and we'll try coming back tomorrow or something," Chris said. I nodded, and I went into our bedroom and shoved some clothes into a duffel bag. When I checked inside our closet, I came across the source of the smell and gagged. Chris took one look and lost all color in his face. He had to go stand by the stairs to get away from the sight and smell. I gazed down in shock at what lay inside my bedroom closet. Soaking into the rug, there were at least a dozen eyeballs, all carefully laid out in pairs. Some were as large as a quarter, while others were as tiny as a marble. I stared down at the eyes she'd collected from small animals. I wondered how she'd gotten them, and shuddered at the thought. Man, I thought I had it bad with Becca's shoe addiction, but fuck me. Your wife's in here collecting eyeballs, Chris said, gagging. Ben, I think we should go, he called from the hall. I'm getting nauseous. All right. I grabbed my duffel and shut the closet door on my new nightmare. I stepped out into the hall and took a deep breath of air. I could taste the rot on my tongue, and I couldn't help but gag. Who the fuck lines up eyeballs in their closet like that? Chris mumbled. I tried to tell you she needed help, I said. She doesn't need help, Ben. She needs a fucking exorcist, he said. You coming or what? I can't stand the smell anymore. His words died in his throat, and his eyes grew wide with fear. I didn't ask him why. I could feel it. Someone was watching me, and I didn't think it was the eyes in the closet. I turned around. My eyes slowly scanning the bedroom. Christ, I whispered as I finally saw what we'd missed. Under the bed, curled on her side, watching us with the excitement of a kid on Christmas morning, was my wife. She held her hands together. Just under her chin, they were shaking eagerly, now that she knew she'd been found. I could hear the quiet noise she was making, a sort of hiccup sound in her throat, as if the excitement was just too much for her. It was unnerving, to say the least. Wide eyes, and that same huge smile. Everything in me told me to run, but I forced it away. This was my wife. No matter how twisted, she was still the woman I married. I had to help her. Lynn, I said softly. She didn't respond, but her head bobbed back and forth in two quick little movements, as if she were nodding. Baby, I just want to help. Okay? Can you let me do that? I asked. I'd taken a single step forward, approaching her like some kind of dangerous animal. I love you, Lynn, I said softly, taking another step closer. She let out a tiny moan escape her wide-open mouth, and I had to resist the urge to run. Her shoulders were starting to quiver, and her eyes grew as large as saucers. I crouched down so I could see her better and immediately saw the blood. Her hands were covered in it. They trembled more the closer I got, as if she could barely contain herself. Lynn, are you hurt? You're bleeding, I said. She bobbed her head again, her bloody fingers moving up and down, as if playing an invisible piano. They occasionally grazed her chin, leaving smears of blood on her skin. I wanted to recoil in disgust. The smell that was coming off of her was revolting. I could feel the vomit trying to climb up my throat. Her lips were dry, stretched thin, blood seeping between the cracks. I knew she wouldn't come out on her own, but I didn't want to leave her in the state that she was in. I scooted closer, reached out to her. The excited hiccuping noise got louder, and her hands shook, fingers flexing. It was then I could see the blood oozing from in between her fingers. Oh my God, Lynn, you're bleeding, I said. Instantly, I reached out to take her hand, but before I could even touch her, her hand sprang towards me. A sharp pain shot through my arm, and I fell back on my ass. My arm burned, and I could see the blood dripping down onto the carpet. I looked back at her in shock and saw her grinning madly. Good night, Aki. Sleep well. I want to be your best friend is crazy, Alucard. Saw her grinning madly, her fingers clutching a large shard of glass. You all right in there? Chris asked from behind me. I turned my head slightly and nodded to him, cradling my arm in my chest. When I turned back to face Lynn, I saw that her focus had shifted. She wasn't looking at me anymore. And she wasn't smiling either. She was staring past me, her eyes glaring at Chris the way a hungry lion might stare at an antelope. Her mouth was still hanging open, but it was twisted into a snarl. I got to my feet and began walking backwards towards the hall, afraid to take my eyes off her. Are you bleeding? Chris asked. The moment the word left his mouth, Lynn started fast scooting out from under the bed, the glass shard still in her fist. "Chris, run! Go!" I yelled. He must have been too afraid to move, because a second later I felt my back bump into him. He was still standing at the top of the stairs, staring at the horror that was my wife. Lynn had crawled completely out from under the bed and stood in the bedroom doorway, her face twisted in rage. Her whole body was visibly tense. Blood ran down her fingers and onto the floor. She is not an interesting person, Alucard. She's a horrifying person. "Jesus, Lynn," Chris said. "You, playing hide and seek?" I reached back and pushed him towards the steps. "Move your ass, Chris," I said as quietly but firmly as I could. Lynn bobbed her head in sharp, fast movements and began to grin, stretching her mouth open wider and wider so that her chin seemed to touch her chest. I heard Chris mutter a prayer as he was running down the stairs. I stood at the top of the steps, stuck between the love for a woman who clearly needed serious help and self-preservation. "Hi, Matcha. Welcome in. Guess who's doing ASMR horror story readings today? I hope you're having a great day. I hope you're having a good time. Thank you for being here, Matcha. I appreciate it." We're reading scary stories, Matcha. If you like horror, feel free to stay. Matcha gotcha, yes, welcome in. Lynn bobbed her head. I read that already. "I only want to help," I said, choking back tears. Her eyes focused on me once again as she slowly lifted the glass, holding it out in front of her. And then she started sprinting towards me, grinning with utter excitement. Thankfully, my body took over and I flew down the stairs, skipping 2 or 3 at a time. I made it to the front door before I felt her leap onto my back, wrapping her arms around my neck, her open mouth next to my ear so I could hear those terrible hiccuping sounds up close. I shook her off me, knocking her to the floor. I felt a searing pain on my back as she went, but I tore open the front door and bolted to my car. Chris was standing in the front yard, talking on the phone with the police. I didn't say a word. I ran to my car and jumped in. Chris took the hint and followed me, still on the line with 911. I watched the rearview mirror, sure I'd see her there, running after us. But I never did. I went straight to the ER and got 11 stitches in my arm and 3 on my back. The police asked a lot of questions and went back to the house to do a search, but of course, Lynn wasn't there. They advised me to stay with a friend or relative for a while and to file a restraining order as soon as I could, but none of those things would matter. Somehow I just knew. I dropped Chris off at home and I went to I went to a motel an hour away. I wanted to put as much distance between me and Lynn as I could. This is where I've been for the past 4 hours. I thought maybe the police would find her. Maybe they'd get her the help she desperately needs. But now I don't think so. Because 40 minutes ago, I got a text from an unknown number. Just 3 words. "I found you." And a picture attached. The picture was dark and grainy, but I instantly knew what it was. There was no mistaking my wife's eye. I started typing this out immediately after. I don't know what to do. I'm alone and scared, and I can't help but feel that I'm being watched. That's the end of the story. I hope you guys enjoyed that reading of it. Did you guys enjoy Alucard? What the fuck? Yeah, that was really scary. Seems like that's the end. What? Yeah, it's not like there's anything crazy going on. I wish I could play scary, creepy music, but I don't want to be charged. Thanks for throwing things at me. I still like that story. It's so scary. Yay! There's another one on here that is interesting. It says, my sugar daddy asks me for weird favors. You guys want to, give it a read? Mine does too. Sure it does. Sure it does, Signy. Sure they do. Let's go. Okay. Viper, you didn't end up sleeping. Did you listen to the whole thing? Thanks for being here. I appreciate it, you guys. So does mine, but he prefers boyfriend? That's crazy. Like read fortunes or go start a cult. Oh, yes, of course. You're Apollo, Daddy. Listen to everything. Thank you, Viper. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Poopos, for listening to me read that. Thank you, Signy. And now, Lucard and Missing No. You guys seem to be enjoying it. Okay. I'm drawing while listening to. Nice. My sugar daddy asks me for weird favors. Written by EAPATBT. TBP. EAPATBP. Thank you. His Twitter profile said he was 45, but he looked to be in his early 30s at most. Looking for a sugar baby. $700 weekly. No sex. I don't know why I made him southern, but I feel like that's fitting. Or buy me more of those hot chips. Does Apollo like hot chips? Do I went to Synodex Completion while listening? Yay, okay. It sounded too good to be true, but as a broke university student, I was willing to take my chances. I swiped right, and Tinder let me know it was a match. His message came seconds later. Hey there, sweetheart. I cringed at the word. I hated it, but $700 was $700. So I sucked it up and replied, Hey, winky face. His name was Jack, and he told me he owned his own business, although he never specified what kind of business it was. We talked for a while before he asked me for my Venmo to send me my first payment. Apollo loves hot chips and lying. That's crazy. You still there? I clicked on the message. Yeah, sorry. If you don't mind me asking, what are you looking for in return? I started the chat until he replied. I'm just looking for you to do a few favors for me. That sounded like it was going to be sexual to me. Like what? For example, the first thing I need you to do is pick up a delivery for me. That sounded innocent enough, though I was still expecting there to be some kind of twist. $700 to pick up a package? Come on. Even I wasn't that naive. From the post office or something? No. I'll send you the address. But I'd rather not do this through Tinder. You got Kick? Or can you give me your number? Kick? What was this, 2011? I decided to give him my number instead, but he texted me the address. He texted me the address immediately, followed by the address to his house, where I would drop off the package. I'm not home right now, but there's a key at the bottom of the blue flower pot near the door. Thank you for the chin scritches, Missing No. Go inside, put the package on the coffee table in the living room. Make sure that you lock the door when you go inside of the house, then lock it again when you leave. I grabbed my car keys and wallet and got in my car, putting the address into Google Maps. Got it. On my way. My phone buzzed as I backed out of the driveway. I'm serious. Lock the doors both times. Please. I thought that was a little excessive, but I promised him that I would. The house looked abandoned, had a broken chain-link fence around it with a small door that was hanging onto dear life. And it stuck out like a sore thumb surrounded by houses that were a lot nicer than this one in comparison. You here for jack shit? I looked up to see a man standing in the open doorway of the house. He looked He took up almost the entire space, his head skimming the top of the door frame. He was huge in height and muscles. His entire torso was covered in tattoos. Yeah, I guess, I replied, not moving from my spot on the sidewalk. Stay right there, he said. I did. I actually don't think I had moved if he had asked me. I would have moved if he had asked me to. I looked around and realized there was no one else on the street. I was a 21-year-old woman, alone in the street. I gripped my car keys. A few moments later, a man came out carrying a cardboard box. It was about the size of a shoebox, but stained and damped on some of the corners. Can you open your car? He asked. I opened the trunk, not wanting that thing inside on my car seats, and he set it in. All right, there you go, he said. Thanks, I replied. I walked around to the driver's side of the car and opened the door. Oh, and one more thing, he said. I looked at him. Watch out, he said. I didn't reply. I blasted my music as I drove. Oh, thank you for the head pats, Signy. I blasted my music as I drove to Jack's house, hoping it would drown out my anxiety. It didn't. I parked my car in the stone driveway and stayed inside the car, admiring the house. It was a huge house with stone pillars on the front porch and the greenest grass I had ever seen in my life. They say Figny, oopsie. Hi, Solitude, welcome in. We are doing an ASMR stream where I will be, reading some scary stories and some dramatic stories to you while I'm in your ears. I hope that you do enjoy. Welcome in, welcome in. It was a huge house with stone pillars on the front door, the greenest grass I'd ever seen in my life. I turned the car off and got out. I grabbed the package, walked to the front door, getting the key from where he said it would be. I opened the door and stepped in, closing it behind me. I thought about what he said, about locking the door when I got inside. Though I thought it was a little overboard, but as I stared at the closed door, something made me reach out and lock it. I walked inside on my feet, cushioned by a thick maroon carpet, and admired the inside of the house. All the furniture was wooden and looked incredibly expensive. I would probably finish school a dozen times with the money that it took to furnish this place. I set the package down on the coffee table, and as I walked back to the door, I heard a phone ring from somewhere inside the house. I froze. In my pocket, my phone buzzed. I took it out to look. Don't answer any calls that aren't from Marvin. I put my phone back, followed the sound of the phone, poking my head into a few different rooms before I found it in an office. I walked over to the desk and looked at the caller ID. Incoming call from Jack. That was odd. I grabbed my phone to look at the message again. I was starting to get a little creeped out and decided I wouldn't answer, just to be safe, and left the house, remembering to lock the door as I left. I've done a few more favors for Jack since then. I drove a BMW to a random park in another city, only to get out and drive a different car back to Jack's house. He had me meet one of his quote-unquote employees at lunch, who then gave me a briefcase to deliver to the first house I had gone to, and told me he would know if I looked inside. On several occasions, he asked me to drive down to that same house and stay with the guy, whose name was Julio, for a certain amount of time. In total, I made about $3,500. 5 weeks. Most recently, Jack asked me to stay at his house overnight. I woke up to a text message from him. I need you to spend the night at my house. I'd have never seen him in person, but I talked to him on the phone a few times. He proceeded to tell me he would pay me $1,000 just to spend the night, provided I follow a few rules. I drove to his house that evening. The driveway was empty, and it normally was, but the porch light was on. I walked up, unlocked the door, went inside, and locked it again. Everything in the house looked the same. Jack told me over the phone that he would leave the list of rules on the dining room table. I set all my stuff down in the living room. My bags looked like garbage compared to the fancy furniture in here. I wandered to the kitchen and looked to the dining room. Sure enough, there was a piece of paper on the wooden table, held down by an empty glass. Lock the door when you come in. Only answer calls from Marvin. Don't turn on any faucets between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. Don't open the door for anyone, no matter who they say they are, after 10 p.m. If the door to the closet at the end of the hall is open, sleep in the library. If it's closed, sleep in any of the bedrooms. The gardener comes at midnight. If he starts knocking on the windows, hide. Turn the TV on and let it play on static throughout the night. Do not forget to do this. Help yourself to anything in the fridge, smiley face. I'll pay you in the morning. Good night. I made sure to follow all the rules. To be honest, I was regretting my decision. Welcome in. Yeah, I saw it, dude. Yeah, hi, Zigny. Welcome. Or thank you for saying hi. I made sure to follow all the rules. To be honest, I was regretting my decision, but seeing as I was already here and I was getting paid, I decided to stay anyway. Figured as I followed the rules, I'd be perfectly fine. Still, it felt a little bit odd. What was this, a haunted house? Nevertheless, I lounged around the house for a few hours, as I was planning on going to sleep around 9, since that's the time all the weird shit would begin to happen. At 9:50, I brushed my teeth, using the faucet for the last time before 9. I checked the closet in the hallway, and upon seeing it was open, I moved my stuff to the library, got ready to sleep on the couch, locked the doors just in case, and laid on the couch, scrolled through my phone. I hadn't gotten any more messages from Jack and started to think up scenarios and reasons as to why he had such a strict, peculiar set of rules in his house. I dozed off at some point. At exactly 10:16 p.m., I was woken up to the doorbell ringing. I was about to get up and check, but I remembered the rule. Don't open the door for anyone, no matter who they say they are, after 10 p.m. I stayed on the couch, trying not to move, paranoid that they would hear even the slightest sound. It's the police. Open up. I didn't move. Hello, it's the police. Open up or we're coming in. I still didn't move, but I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. There was a silence for a while after that, and then the doorbell rang again. Hey, it's me, Jack. Let me in. Sounded like Jack, but still I didn't get up. He would have had a key, wouldn't he? Why would he need me to let him in? This continued for almost a full hour. Different people would ring the doorbell, announce themselves, and then disappear when I wouldn't respond. I was finally able to sleep, and the gardener never came. When I woke up in the morning, I heard someone in the kitchen. I got up slowly and unlocked the door as quietly as possible, taking my phone with me and walking across the living room and into the kitchen. I stopped at the entrance and peered in. It was Jack. He was standing in front of the stove, stirring something as the coffee machine brewed coffee on the counter behind him. Hey, good morning, he said when he saw me. Hi, I responded nervously. I hadn't seen him in person before, but he looked exactly like his pictures online. Scrambled eggs? He asked, motioning to the pan with a wooden spoon. Yeah, thanks, I replied, walking over to take the plate from him. I ate my breakfast and drank some coffee in silence. So how was it? He asked. It was okay. Nothing super freaky happened, I replied. Cool, he replied. There was an awkwardness in the room. I think I'm gonna go now. I have class. I trailed off. I didn't, but I really wanted to get out of here. Oh no, yeah, sure. I'll talk to you some other time, he replied. I grabbed my stuff and he walked me to my car. I could see him standing in the driveway staring at me as I left. When I got home, I unpacked all my stuff. Oh, and I noticed I still had the list with me. I sat on my bed and read it again. And I felt my body tense up as I realized I forgot to do something. Turn the TV on and let it play on static throughout the night. Do not forget to do this. Turn the TV on and let it play on static throughout the night. Do not forget to do this. Do not forget to do this. I stared at the words on the page until they lost meaning. Besides me, my phone buzzed, snapping me back to reality. It was $1,000. I looked at my phone and then back at the list. Maybe it was an unimportant step. As I was thinking this over, a text from Jack came in. I'm not in town right now. I should be back next week, so if you're free from running any more errands for me until then, just send the payment. Go do something fun. I stared at the message and read it again, and once more for good measure. I'm not in town right now. I thought back to this morning, and how Jack was in his house. How he gave me breakfast. I'm not in town right now. Within minutes, a new text came in. This time from a number that I didn't recognize. Did you forget something? Winky face. The text was followed by a picture of Jack. Or whatever, or whoever this version of Jack was. Standing in front of the TV. I didn't respond. Next came another picture. This one was outside of my house. It was followed by another text. Watch out. That's the end of the story. Yes, winky face. Hi, Pure Chaos. Can you still hear me? Welcome in. We're doing some Horror Night ASMR. I hope you're having fun. Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoy me pacing around you as I tell you these stories. Hell nah. That was scary. Did you guys like my reading of it? I hope you enjoyed. I'm scared. It's okay, we can read more. Let's see what's next. We have options. Good job. Thank you, Signe. It's almost 4 a.m. I'm back in physical signal they broke. Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. Or yes, okay. Alright, let's see. There's something walks whistling past my house every night at 3:03. Written by Grand Theft Motto. Thanks for throwing things at me, Chaos. Oh no, I'm sorry, Missing No. Am I scaring you? Hello. Turn around. I'm right here. Don't be scared. Can we do one that's scary? I'm trying. He's haunting us, I am. Hi, Inky. Welcome in. We're doing some ASMR readings today. Thanks for throwing things at me. Thank you for redeeming your daily free popcorn. That's 34 buckets. Hi, Inky. We're kinda here. We're over here. Now we're wandering this way. And now we're gonna go back up towards the front. We're telling some stories. Alucard, if you have any suggestions on some scary stories, if you want to send them to me, I'll read them for chat. You have anything scary in mind? Something probably shorter I can't read for 20 years. You like him better when he's quiet. Oh, why does quiet Tupu sound kinda hot? Thank you guys, I appreciate it. Yeah, I have to be a little bit quieter for you guys. I can't have all the energy. Not only kinda, it's funny. I can't hear him right now, so I don't know what he sounds like. That's true. Okay, why don't we read Something Walks By My House, whistling at 3:03. Just wanted a scary one. I'm reading r/no sleep. These are the top ones. Maybe you have a higher tolerance for fear than we do. Kind of scaring myself, I'm not gonna lie. Something walks, whistling past my house, every night at 3:03. Every night, no matter the weather, something walks down our street, whistling softly. You can only hear it if you're in the living room or the kitchen when they walk by. It always starts exactly at 3:03. The sound starts faint somewhere near the beginning of the lane near the Carson place. We're towards the middle of the street, so the whistling moves past us before fading away in the direction of the cul-de-sac. When I was younger, my sister and I would sneak into the kitchen some nights to listen. My mom and dad didn't like that, and we'd catch hell if they found us out there. But they were never too hard on us since we always stuck to the one big rule. Don't try to look at whatever's whistling. I've been scared since before Christmas, so probably, yeah. I don't think I'll be able to do that. I don't want to say anything more because I think it'll either start rumors about me that are untrue or get me in trouble. Chaos, you see the way some people talk in my chat. You're not gonna get in trouble. Don't worry, we're not gonna make any accusations towards you. You've been a good cookie up till this point. My neighborhood is a funny place. I've lived here since I was 6, and I love it. The houses are small but well kept. Good-sized yards, plenty of places to roam. There are a lot of other kids here my age. I turned 13 back in October. We grew up together and always played foursquare in the cul-de-sac or roam around from back porch to back porch in the summer. This was a good place to grow up. I'm old enough to see it. There's only the two strange things here. The night whistling and the good luck. I like Tuba the most when he whispers. Oh, you guys like whispering? Well, the VOD will be on Red Side if you guys ever want to listen back to this for, help with sleep and everything. Just watch the VOD when you can. Okay. Nice. Thank you, Pure Chaos. That's very sweet. I love Tuba when he whispers. Are we gonna do this more often? Oh, that says whimpers. Not whispers. Alright, Pure Chaos, you're a freak. A freak. Whisper softly to Tuba. I'm back and home now. Welcome in, Council, welcome back. I realize it says whimper. I'm sorry. No one said whisper. Oh, the Council said, okay. Oh. No one said whisper. Everyone said whimper. You guys are freaks. You guys don't get to hear that. Tuba cannot read. I read it that way too. That's because you're a good cookie, llama. The whistling never bothered me much. Like I said, I couldn't even hear it from my bedroom, but Mom and Dad don't like talking about it, so I stopped asking questions. My dad's a strong guy, tall and calm. He has an accent since he moved to US when he was a kid. My family, my grandparents, they're from the islands. That's what they call it. My dad, the only time he isn't so calm is if the whistler comes up. Tuber the goober, hi, I need to eat-ball. Good night. Oh, okay. Well, hopefully, if this is ASMR enough for you, you're able to sleep while listening. But I don't know what, This is because I have to read subtitles, so my brain isn't reading, right? That's very valid. Have a good night, Sickney. Swaddles the swan. Yes, good job. It's helping me get ready for Eeps. Great. I love that. Here, have some nice little can rain sounds. Yes, the wonderful rain. Isn't that nice? Have a good rest of your night. My dad was a quick talker then. Eyes move faster, and he tells us not to think about it so much and always remember the one rule. The big rule. Don't try to look outside when the whistler comes past. Rest soon. Rest well. I'm watching you. Yes, Alucard, please get some rest. Not that we could look, even if we wanted. See, there are shutters on the inside of every window. Thick piece. Hi, Belzu Silver Ace. Welcome in. I'm so hard at that. Huh? Welcome in. We're doing some horror ASMR, and I'm in your ears. Hello, hello. Welcome in, welcome in. Hi, welcome, welcome. See, there are shutters on the inside of every window, thick pieces of heavy canvas that pull down from the top and latch to the bottom of the window frame. Each latch even has a small lock about the size of what you'll find on a dairy. My dad locks these shutters every night before we all go to bed, keeps the key in his room. My mom, I don't know what she thinks about the whistling. I've seen her out in the living room before at 3:03. The song starts. I could see if I cracked my door open just an inch to peek. She's not out there often. At least I haven't caught her much. But once or twice a month. I think she sits out there on her big red couch, just listening. The whistler has the same tune every night. It's cheerful. Da 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 dum. Da 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 dum. Remember how I said there were two odd things about where I live? Well, besides our night whistler, everyone in my neighborhood is really lucky. It's hard to explain, and Dad doesn't like us talking about this part much either. But good thing just seem to happen to people around here a lot. Usually it's small things, winning a radio contest or getting unexpected promotion at work, or finding some arrowheads buried in the yard. You know, the authentic kind. Guess who? Hi, Isabella and Gwen. And hi, Belzu. Thank you for redeeming your daily free check-in. That's your 12th bucket of popcorn. And Isabella, it's your 12th. Is this a creepypasta or something? Yeah, we're reading r/no sleep. Also, welcome in. Hello. I'm in your ears today and having a good time. I hope you are enjoying this ASMR horror story reading. Hi. Only story I can think of that isn't a script. It's a video I used to follow. Listen, I was asleep. Suddenly sleep. Oh, nice. And two others. Hi, babies. Welcome in. Hopefully this reading is soft and soothing enough for you guys. The weather is pretty good and there's no crime and everybody's gardens bloom extra bright in the fall. A million little blessings, I've heard my mom say about living here, but the main reason we stay here, why we moved here in the first place, is my sister, Nola. She was born very sick, something with her lungs. We couldn't even bring her home when she was born, only visit her in the hospital. She was so small, I remember, small even compared to the other babies. A machine had to breathe for her. They came home today. Welcome home, babies. Welcome home, twins. Other silent squid, thank you, dragon. I just saw there's a Wi-Fi name battle in my neighborhood. There's a Hogwarts house, a house elves, and muggle. That's funny. That's very cute, Viper. We moved into our house here to be closer to the hospital. As soon as we moved here, Nola started getting better. The doctors couldn't figure it out. They chalked it up to whatever they were doing, but we could all tell they were confused. My parents knew. Even I knew. Nola getting better was just another one of the million little blessings we got for living in our neighborhood. That's why we stayed, even after we found out that for every small miracle that happens every day, now and then, some bad things happen. And they only happen if you look for the whistler. Oh, and no connection, that's funny. See, our neighborhood has a welcoming committee. They show up with a macaroni casserole and a gift basket and a manila folder whenever someone new moves in. They're very friendly. 4 people show up when we moved in 7 years ago. The committee made small talk, gave me a Snickers bar. Thanks for clicking me. And took turns holding Nola. It was her first week out of the hospital, so they were extra careful. Then the committee asked to speak to my parents in private, so I was sent to my room, where I still managed to hear nearly every word. The welcoming committee told my parents about how nice the neighborhood was, really exceptionally hard to explain kind of nice. And then they told my parents about the even harder to explain whistling that happened every morning at 3:03 and ended at the tick of 3:05. The group, our new neighbors, warned my parents that the whistling was quiet, would never harm or hurt us, as long as we didn't look for what made the sound. This part they stressed. I pushed my ear to the door, straining to hear them. People who went looking for the whistler had their luck changed, sometimes tragically. A black cloud would hang over anyone who looked. Anything that could go wrong would. The manila envelope the committee brought over contained newspaper clippings. Stories about car crashes and ruined lives, public deaths and freak accidents. Not everyone dies, I heard the head of the committee tell my dad, but the life goes out of them. Even if they live, there's no light in them ever again. No presence. My mom, I could tell she wasn't taking it seriously. She kept asking if it was some kind of prank they play on new neighbors. At one point, my mom got angry, accusing the committee of trying to scare us out of our new home, and asked them if they were racist on account of my dad being from the islands. My dad calmed her down, told her that he could tell our new neighbors were sincere and they were trying to help us. He explained that he grew up hearing these kinds of stories from his mom, that he knew there were strange things that walk among us. Some of those strange things were good, and some were bad, but most were just different. After the committee left, Dad went out to the hardware store, brought the canvas blinds, the latches, and the locks, and installed them on every window in the house after dinner. That first night in our new house, I crept out of my room at 3 a.m., only to find my dad awake, sitting in the living room couch, holding my baby sister. My dad held up his finger in a shush motion, but patted the couch next to him. I sat, and we waited, and at exactly 3:03, we heard the whistling. I don't remember the tune I did for it. Dum dum da da dum 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 da da dum dum. It came and it went, just like our neighbor said. The whistling returns each night, and we never look, and we enjoy our million little blessings every day. Nola breathes on her own, and she's grown into a strong, clever girl. My dad even joined the welcoming committee. We don't get new neighbors often. Why would anyone want to leave? But when a new family moves in, my dad and the committee bring them a macaroni casserole, a gift basket, and the manila folder. I can always tell by the look on my dad's face when he comes back if the family took the committee seriously, or if we'd be getting new neighbors again very soon. Not long ago, a family moved in across the street from us. The previous owner, Miss Maddie, passed away at the age of 108. 108? Oh my god, 105. She lived a good long life. Our new neighbors seemed like they'd fit in just fine. They believed the welcoming committee took my dad's advice about the locking shutters since they had a young child of their own. Whatever newspaper clippings were in that manila envelope, whatever evidence, my dad never let us see. But I imagine it must have been awful convincing some of our neighbors got along with no issue for the first month. One night, when our new neighbors had to leave town, they sent their son, Holden, to stay with us. He was 12, a year younger under me in school. I didn't know him well before that night, but as soon as his parents dropped him off after dinner, I could tell it was going to be a bad time. "Do you know who's out there whistling every night?" Holden asked the moment the adults left the room. The three of us sitting in the den, some Disney movie playing idly on the television. My sister and I exchanged a glance. "We don't talk about it," I said. "I think it's weird." Why am I making him British? I think that's weird. I think it's that weirdo that lives in the big yellow house in the corner," Holden said. "Mr. Tollis?" my sister asked. "No way. He's really nice." "I'm sorry, Alucard. He's British now. He's just gonna be." Holden shrugged. "Must be a psycho killer then." Nola tensed. "We don't talk about it," I repeated. "Let's go to my room and play Nintendo." We spent the next few hours playing games, eating popcorn, and then watching movies. A typical sleepover, but I could see Holden was getting antsy. I'm sighing so hard right now. Also, twins are falling asleep from this. Oh, nice. "I'm sorry, Alucard. He might die soon, so it'll be fine." After my parents wished us a good night, locked the blinds, and gone to bed, Holden stood up from his beanbag and walked over to where Nola and I were sitting on the bed. "Have you ever tried looking?" he asked. "It's nearly time." Like most sleepovers, we'd conveniently ignored any suggestion of a bedtime. I was shocked to see he was right. It was almost 3 a.m. I sighed. "We don't." Also, I read that. "See, I can't. I can't even try to look because my dad locks the blinds every night and hides the key." He continued, ignoring me. "So does our dad," says Nola. "No," replied Holden. "No, he doesn't." "You saw him do it," I said, a little sharper than I meant to sound. Holden grinned. "You just want the Brits to die, is he? Well, I can't make it a main character, Alucard, because then you'll have to listen to the British the whole story." Holden grinned. "Your dad locks the blinds, yeah, but he doesn't hide the key. He keeps it right on his normal keychain." "Thank you for the hydrate, Sir Galahad. Welcome in." "Back, Sargi. Oh, thank you for 2. Hopefully that's not loud for you guys." "Hi, we're doing ASMR reading today. Welcome in." "Sir Galahad." "I am walking around you, watching you. We're doing horror stories today. Are you excited to hear it? Because I'm having fun. Welcome in." "Oh, we have an ad. I got 3 hydrates. Thank you for 3 hydrates." "Oh, yay, ads. Oh no, we have an actual ad watcher. I'm so sorry, everyone is ad." "You were looking raisiny. Thank you, Galahad." Water dog, indeed. "Your dad locks the blinds, yeah, but he doesn't hide the key. He keeps it right on his normal keychain." "So?" I asked, worried I already knew what he would say next, because I'd noticed that my dad didn't bother hiding the key anymore after all of these years, because he knew we took it seriously. He admitted I didn't. 3 minutes great so fun. "I'm sorry, I'll see you soon." "So, after your dad locked up before your parents went to bed, I went to the bathroom. Sorry, washroom. And on my way, I may have peeked into their room, and I may have seen your dad's keychain on his nightstand, and I maybe went and borrowed the key to the blinds." Nola and I stared, and his grin only grew wider. No bathroom? Oh, okay, bathroom. You're lying, I said. Holden shrugged. You can check if you want. Just open your parents' door and look. You'll see his keychain right there on the nightstand. Stay here, I told both of them. Don't move a muscle. I hurried over to my parents' room but hesitated at the door. If Holden wasn't lying, my dad would be angry. Beyond angry. I was scared to think about it, but more scared of an open window than the whistler with a whistler right outside. I opened the door, barely an inch, and looked in, but it was too dark to see.
Isabella Renica cheered 1volt1p3r underscore 0909 gifted a
Isabel,
tier 1 sub to
Viper.
Isabella Renica. They have
Viper,
given
that's
7
so
gift
nice.
subs in the channel.
It's okay, luckily Gwen already took the twins to bed, others would be with them. Oh no. Thank you for the gifted, Viper. You're so sweet. That's very kind. BRB, okay. Sounds good. Well, I'm sure that she'll love the lack of ads when she's back. Thank you, Viper. Let's be dead, I guess? I guess. Two steps into the dark. I froze. The whistling started, and I could hear it clearly from my parents' room. Never realized that they must have heard the sound every night since we moved into the house. They never told us. I don't think I could have slept through it. I stood there, listening to the whistling come closer, unsure whether I should turn on a light or call out for my dad. Soft sounds from the living room brought me back to reality. Nola, I yelled, running out of my parents' room. See, I was running the ads and also giving a break from my screen. Oh, no, Viper, don't apologize. You're so sweet. Thank you for the gifted. I appreciate it, Viper. Holden and Nola were standing near the front door near the window. Holden wasn't lying. I could see him fumbling with the lock on one of the blinds. I heard a click. He did have the key. Hi, Rebel. Thank you so much for checking in. We're doing wonderful ASMR today. I'm here. And I'm here. Welcome in. Hello, hello. How's your day going? Holden let out a quick laugh. Nola stood next to him, hunched up, afraid, but maybe curious. The whistling was right. Outside. Our house now. I think I made a sound, called out, I don't remember. Time felt frozen, clock hands nailed to the face. But I found myself moving. I'm not fast, never have been athletic. Somehow, though, I covered the space between myself and Nola in a moment. My eyes were locked on her, but I heard Holden pull the blind all the way down so it would release. I heard the snap of it as it started to rise, and I heard the whistling just outside of the other side of the window. So I had my arms around Nola. I turned us so she faced away from the window. At the same time, I jammed my eyes shut. The blinds whipped open. The whistling stopped. I felt Nola shaking in my arms. Don't look, okay? I told her. Don't turn around. I'm using earbuds, it's just, well, I'm glad you're enjoying. Hello, hello, hello. I'm here now. Thank you for the chin scritches, Isabella. You're very appreciated. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for lurking, Rebel. I appreciate it. There's actual songs like that. It's called AD. Yeah. It's great. It's very helpful. Very helpful for focusing. I felt Nola shaking in my arms. Don't look, okay? Don't turn around. We were positioned so she was facing back towards the hallway. I was facing the window. My eyes were still closed. I felt her nod into my shoulder. I reached out with an arm. not holding Nola, to try and touch Holden. My hand brushed his arm. He was shaking worse than her. Bro shivers, I'm glad. Holden? I asked. Yes, good night, Isabella. Thank you for stopping in. Silence. I reached past him and gingerly felt for the window, eyes still sealed shut. The glass was cold against my fingertips, colder than it should have been for the time of year. I moved my hand up the window, searching for the string to the blind. The glass began to get warmer the further I reached. There was a gentle hum feeding back into my fingertips. I tried not to think what might be on the other side of the window. Finally, I touched the string and yanked the blind shut. I opened my eyes in the dim light leaking out from the I opened my eyes. In the dim light leaking out from the kitchen, I could make out Holden, pale, small, staring at the now closed window. Holden? I asked again. He turned towards me, and he screamed. Everything became a flurry of motion. Lights sparked to life in the hall, then the living room. My parents' footsteps thudded across the hardwood floor. I didn't turn to look back at them. My eyes were glued to Holden. He was pale, had bit his lips so hard there was a red line of blood running down his chin, and he'd wet himself. What happened? My dad asked from behind me. I managed to swivel away from Holden and look back. He looked. I've never seen my dad scared before, but I saw it that night. In that moment, an old, ugly terror stitched on his face. A parent's fear. Just Holden? He mouthed to me. I nodded yes. My dad let out a breath. He looked so relieved I nearly expected him to cheer, but then he turned to Holden, and my dad's face changed. I wonder if he felt bad for feeling good that Holden was the only one that had looked. There was a knock at the door. We all froze. Holden whimpered. Don't answer it, my mom said. She stood at the threshold of the hall. I'd always thought she was a skeptic and just humored my dad about the windows and the whistler, but the night we were all believers. I noticed that both of my parents held baseball bats and must have taken from their bedroom. The knock came again, a little louder this time. Please, don't open the door, Holden whispered. My dad walked over to him, hugged him close. We won't, my dad promised, still holding his bat. Nothing is coming in here tonight. Thud. 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 This time the knocking was loud enough to rattle the door. Holden screamed, and Nola clutched her arms around my neck. My mom came over and knelt down next to us, wrapping my sister and me close. Thud. 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 Call the police, my mom whispered to my dad. The knocking instantly stopped. My dad looked over his shoulder at us. Do you think he was cut off by a frantic knocking that trailed off to a polite tap, tap, tap? Police! Something said from the other side of the door. The voice from outside sounded exactly like my mom. Like a parrot, repeating the words back to her. Police. Call the police. Tap, tap, tap. Police. My mom pulled us closer. Police. 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 Please stop, I heard her whisper. I don't think calling them will help, my dad said. How will we know when they're the ones at the door? The knocking came back harder than before. The door shook. Then it stopped. After a long moment, I heard the knocking again. But it was coming from our back door. Hi, Beep. Welcome in. We're doing ASMR Horror Night. Welcome, welcome. I hope you're having a good time. I hope you're enjoying the content. I hope you're having fun. Welcome in. We all turned toward the back door, but the knocking immediately returned to the front door. Front to back. Back to front. Loud, then quiet, then loud again. Suddenly the sound was coming from both doors at once. Big, heavy blows like a sledgehammer. Then something started rapping against all the windows in the house. And the walls. It was like we were living inside a drum with a dozen people trying to play it at once, or we were a turtle and something was attempting to claw us out of our shell. Stop, Holden yelled. The knocking died. I won't tell, Holden said, staring at the door. I promise. I won't tell anyone what I saw. Just please go away. Oh boy, can't wait for Christmas. What do you mean? We waited for nearly a minute. Then we heard it, a soft tap, tap, tap. Coming from the window Holden had looked through earlier. Holden started to cry, sobbing like a prisoner watching gallows being built outside of their cell. My dad held him, brushed his hair, but never lied to him. Never told him things were going to be okay. The tapping on the window went on for the rest of the night. We huddled together in the living room for I don't know how long. Eventually, my mom tried to take us kids into my room, while my dad stayed to watch the door. But the second we moved to my bedroom, the knocking came back so loud it was impossible to ignore. I was afraid the door couldn't take it. We went back to the living room and the knocking stopped. Only the tap, tap, tap on the window remained. None of us slept that night. The tapping stopped around 7. That's about the time the sun comes up here. We waited another 2 hours before my dad opened the blinds from one of the windows. He made us all go back to my parents' bedroom first. I heard him open the door, then come back in. Okay, he told us. It's done. Holden's parents came back around lunchtime. My mom and dad walked Holden over to his house, and they all went inside for quite a while. Nola and I watched from the window. She stuck to me the whole day, right by my side, sometimes holding my hand. When my parents came back, they looked grim, but wouldn't tell us what they said to Holden's family. It was a Sunday, so we all spent the day together, ordered pizza and watched movies. That night, everyone slept in my room. Nola and my mom in my bed with me. My dad in a chair he pulled over. There was no knocking that night, or any night since. We didn't see much of Holden or his parents for the rest of that week, but by Thursday, there was a moving truck in their driveway. Nola and I watched them pack up the whole afternoon after school. What sticks with me the most is how tired Holden and his parents looked. All three had the same pallor, grim mouths, and lightless eyes. Even from across the street, I could tell something was wrong. Holden and his family were gone before sunset. I remember what the original welcoming committee said to my parents when we moved in. Not everyone who looks at the whistler dies, but even those that live have the light go out of them, and the rest of their lives are full of misfortune. 1,000,000 little tragedies. I think Holden's parents must have looked, either to comfort him if they didn't believe or share the burden if they did. I watched Nola some days, happy and young and alive, and I wonder if I'd been slower, if she'd looked out the window that night, would I have looked too? To comfort her, to share that burden. I'm glad we don't have to find out. We still live in that house, in that neighborhood, and we still hear the whistler walk by every night. The blessings, the luck, the good things are just too good to leave. But we're careful. We don't have friends over to spend the night anymore, and my dad hides the key into the blinds very, very well. Not that I've gone looking. Some things you don't need to look for. Yay. Keep whispering, whisper boy. Hi, Sarah. Welcome in, welcome in. How's your day going? We're doing, ASMR, and we're walking around, having a good time. I hope you're enjoying. Hope you're having fun. That was a good one. That's good. I'm glad you think so. I'm a little worried. I don't know if we're gonna raid out today because of how quiet I'm being. I'm sure a lot of people have volumes up really high, and I don't want to wake anyone. Let's see. My friendly update bot. Interesting. There's a couple others. So sleepy goodbye it is then. Yeah, I don't think a raid will be in order. I can maybe read one more. Your time is fine. I'm glad you're enjoying your EP as well. Yeah, a little bit. We'll read another one though. Sending more than just shivers, making my being alright. Alright. Let's see here. Scariest story of 2019. Most immersive story of 2019. In November of 2019. Maria on the moon. Did you know that early astronomers thought there were oceans on the moon? I asked, looking up from my book. Mom shifted in her bed, a tangle of IV tubes shifting from her. Of course, the moon seems like the perfect place to find an ocean. What a shame we never found water then, I said, because those false seas, astronomers call them Maria. Mom smiled. How sweet of them to name the moon oceans after me. Well, they didn't find any oceans, I reminded her. Maybe they just didn't look hard enough, she replied, a little laugh slipping from her lips. For all the pain she was in, all of the fear she must feel, my mother always had the kind of laugh that could light up a candle. We were in her hospital room, the same ones we'd been in and out of for the last year and a half. Sometimes we had a roommate, sometimes we were alone. Always she held steady enough for both of us. The rock I tied my hope to, the wall against the grief I knew was coming. Cancer is such a Monday. Oh, goodness. Hello. Thank you for the biddies. Oh, my goodness. Thank you for the 1K, Viper. That's so very sweet. Make sure you only give what you can, okay? I appreciate it. That's so nice, thank you. Thanks for leashing me, Sir Seraphim. You don't like how low the timer's getting? Thank you for increasing the timer. I appreciate it. That's very kind. You know what? Just for that, for the 1K, I'll add another 10 minutes for you, okay? There you go. Just for you. Thank you for the 10K. I appreciate it. Thank you, Tubes. Of course, of course. Thank you for the 1K biddies. I appreciate it. All the pain. Oh, you read that. Cancer is such a mundane word for something so hungry and cruel. I've noticed medicine does that a lot. Covers horror with tedious language, like a bedsheet over a body. Malignant. Inoperable. Metastasized. Terminal. Right on the forehead. Such bad of those I steal from myself. What do you mean by that? What do you mean, Seraphim? When she laughed, we weren't in the hospital anymore, we were home. When she laughed, she wasn't sick. She was young again. And I was a kid, and the world was a bright place, begging to be explored. What a miracle my mother was. Cancer had taken so much from her, aged and hurt her, but I could never steal her laugh. That was hers to keep. Steal from you now? Don't steal from me.
How are we feeling today?
The doctor asked. He came in less and less often. We could all sense that was the final stay in this room. Just brilliant, Doc, my mom said, struggling to sit a little higher. We could still go dancing later if you'd like, though we'll have to ask for my son's blessing. Ever since his dad died, Brian's been very protective over me.
I put on a stern face. I'll need to know your intentions are pure, Dr. Bradshaw.
As the driven snow, he played along.
But I might need a rain check on the dance, Miss Willen. I'm not as young as I used to be.
He emphasized his age, running his fingers through gray-white hair. My mom tapped her bare scalp. Right there with you, Tiger, she said. Mr. Bradshaw smiled, but I could tell he was burdened. I saw him glance at the small idol I'd placed on my mother's nightstand. The talisman was a miniature oak tree carved from gray soapstone. There were 4 faces etched into the tree, a sentry against ill health and bitter spirits. I could tell the stone tree made the doctor uncomfortable. In all honesty, I had a tough time looking at the idol for more than a few seconds. The faces were each whittled in vivid expression. The face closest to my mother's bed was smiling kindly. The face pointed towards the door was snarling, meant to ward away harm. Good night, Chaos. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. The 2 final faces were both weeping. All 4 faces were too human, too raw. There's a weirdness to the stone tree that put people on edge, but I'd grown used to every shade of weird you can imagine. My mother's side of the family was full of stories of unexplained luck and mysterious tragedy, whispered secrets and unexplained death. By all accounts, my maternal grandmother was either an honest to goodness witch or a full-born, high-caliber crazy. Or both. Probably both. The stone tree was from a box of my grandmother's things I'd found in the attic earlier that month. Maybe it was just a coincidence, but my mom did seem to get a bit better when I brought in the talisman. At least for a little while. I was daydreaming about family history, the odd box, while Dr. Bradshaw checked his charts and Mom's vitals.
Can I talk to you for a moment?
He asked. Ripping me back to reality, Dr. Bradshaw tried to keep a light tone, but I could tell he didn't have good news. The hospital hallway smelled like ammonia and birthday cake. Someone must have had a party. Maybe a patient, maybe a nurse. Strange how you remember the insignificant details while your world is crashing down around you.
I'm so sorry,
Dr. Bradshaw told me.
The results came in this morning. It's spreading aggressively.
We held it back as long as we could, Brian.
Your mom is a fighter.
But right now, we'll just need to try and keep her as comfortable as we can. Brian, the wall was cracking. Grief waiting on the other side, heavy and cold as an empty house. I'd known for months that this was the most likely outcome, but still hurt to hear. Hurt worse than I could stomach. There's nothing left to try? I asked, fighting down the urge to throw up. Anything? Experimental? Untested? Anything? Dr. Bradshaw shook his head.
I'm sorry.
Sometimes we just run out of options.
She fought a good fight.
How long does she have left? I asked, looking back to her room. She'd fallen asleep.
Not long. Maybe days.
Have you considered hospice? The smell of ammonia and birthday cake. The steady beep of my mom's heart monitor. I tried to focus on the world around me. My hope wasn't dead yet. If medicine couldn't help my mom, maybe something older could. I thought of the box of my grandmother's things waiting in the attic. There's a lot in there I haven't gone through yet. books and candles and secrets and lost things. Maybe there's a cure, or at least a way to keep the fight going. No, I said. If all that's left is to make her comfortable, I want to take her home. The doctor smiled. I understand. We can give you some medication, ways to help her with the pain. He put his hands on my shoulder. Your mom's been in a lot of pain, but she will have peace soon. You've done all you can. I know, I lied. Thank you. Mom lived in a small ranch house 10 miles outside of town. There wasn't much in the ways of neighbors, besides some wood and a creek slithering through her yard. It was a windy, warm March afternoon when I took my dying mother home. That night I began to work. I was going to turn the house into a bunker, a maze death could never solve. I would keep my mother safe. I would find a way to keep her alive. The little red book was full of ideas. Running water was an obvious place to start. The creek next to the house was barely a trickle, but it should provide some coverage to the south side of the property. Salt was next, lining the doorways and window frames. Then, in an unbroken circle around the entire house, the step was to be repeated daily, the red book stressed, or even multiple times per day. Even a moderate breeze played holy havoc with any salt poured outside, so it was always best to trace and retrace every few hours. Water and salt were common defenses against the old man's enemy, and well known. The book offered less conventional advice. It took me nearly a week to finish carving the symbols and signs into the walls, floors, even the trees on the property. Sometime around noon on the third day, my back in the crawl space, etching strange marks in the underside of the floor. It struck me how ridiculous I was acting. There was no proof that any of the information in the Little Red Book was anything other than the delusional ramblings of a bizarre woman I'd only met once or twice as a child. For all I knew, the runes meant to ward off death were actually a grocery list, written in Cantonese. But I was desperate, and every time I saw my mother, she looked frailer, more fragile. As I continued carving and praying and building layers upon layers of protection to keep death far away. Making my marks took me all over the property. It was a big yard, nearly 3 acres, that blended gradually into the surrounding forest. I wasn't able to pinpoint the exact boundary where cultivated met nature. Edges simply bled together, but I did my best to create a clean border with lines between the symbols. I always loved the wilderness here. The way you could wander a few hundred yards away from home and felt like you're traveling hundreds of years into the past to somewhere primal. This was the perfect playground for a kid, whether I was out exploring trails or trapping minnows or spending the summer building yet another tree house, convinced this would be the final one. It never was. I was never satisfied. The house itself, though small, was more than enough room for my mother and me. Dad died when I was 7. I don't remember much about him, just how big he seemed, like a bonfire, grin, and arms that I thought could hold up the whole world. My mom often said I look after my father. I could see it in the old pictures of him, with the same eyes, green as moss in the summer, and the same fiery shock of red hair, enemy to every comb on the planet. The sicker Mom got, the more often she called me my father's name. I worried when she drifted away like that, but a part of me was proud she'd mistake me for him. After all of the symbols were carved, there were a few steps left in the book to deter death from visiting. There were dozens of charms and talismans at the bottom of the old box in the attic. I sat there combing through everything my grandmother left behind, referencing the red book, pushing the tiny charms into tidy piles. None of the idols were larger than my thumb. There were iron, and others were wood. Some were heavy, others light. All of them were uncomfortable to look at or touch. The attic was drafty, but not nearly enough to explain the cold that burrowed into me as I sorted the charms. I'm not particularly tall, but the attic felt like it was designed for dolls, beamed so low I could even walk bent over. I moved around on my knees, through rough floorboards threatening splinters, even through my jeans. I could have taken the box downstairs where I'd have more room, but the idea filled me with a deep unease. It seemed better to leave the box up in the attic, only taking down objects as I needed them. Up here, at least, my grandmother's items, her legacy was quarantined. The Red Book was very specific about the distribution of the totems around the house and property. I walked carefully. Oopsie doopsie, I'm so sorry. I walked carefully through my mom's backyard, boots plopping in and out of mud, compass in hand. It had rained nearly every day since I'd taken my mom home from the hospital. Her leggings. My grandmother's items, her legacy was quarantined. Heard you too, but I just made a mistake. It's okay. It's okay. Ah, thank you. It had rained nearly every day since I'd taken my mom home from the hospital. I knew it was almost certainly a coincidence, but I couldn't help wonder if the soft curtains of rain falling to the ground were for her. I placed charms in a compass rose, with the house in the middle. The most distributed objects were given places of honor the most disturbing objects were given places of honor at each cardinal direction. Water, salt, wards, charms, all placed carefully, intentionally. My grandmother's book promised that these would offer some degree of protection against the inevitability of death. The symbols would confuse it, the talismans distract it, and the water and salt make barriers to slow it down, but death might just find a crack to slip through. So the Red Book recommended one final trick. There was a small candle at the bottom of the box. Dirty white as stained paper. When I took the candle from its case, the smell made me gag. Have you ever walked past a portable toilet in the dog days of summer? When it's so hot, the blue plastic has started to warp and bubble. Imagine the smell distilled into a finger's worth of wax. I brought the candle downstairs, placed it on the dining room table, and set it alight. The wick caught immediately, the flame burning an unusual red-brown. No heat came off the candle, and it actually seemed cooler the closer I moved my hands to the fire. Once the wax began to melt, the smell was 10 times worse than it was back in the attic. I choked down, a greasy sickness crawling up my throat, and quickly left the room, shutting the French doors as I went. That held trapped the odor, but I couldn't shake the sense of nausea. I went to check on my mother. "Do you remember the day you ran away?" my mother asked, sitting in her bed, lunch untouched on the nightstand behind her. I didn't think she had any weight left to lose before she was nothing but bone and memory. Her skin was rice paper over a frame that seemed smaller every day. Her eyes, though, no matter how frail the rest of her became, remained 2 little lanterns against the dark, blue, bright and alive. I didn't make it very far, I answered, and I wasn't really running away, only stretching my legs. Mom smiled. "You told me you were leaving for the circus. You wanted to either be a lion tamer or a strong man or maybe a fire eater." I think I wanted to be all of that combined. Young me was big on the multitasking. My mother turned, so she was looking out the window into the yard. "I was so scared when I found your note," the one that says you were leaving. My hands were shaking like you wouldn't believe when I called the sheriff and then Mr. Jonas down the way. It seemed like we were searching for you for half the night, even though it couldn't have been more than an hour before you found you there, lost in the woods, wandering around and shivering. You hadn't even brought a jacket. I sat next to my mom in the bed. Yeah, I didn't exactly plan ahead for my circus escape. I remember getting over the idea really quick, but I couldn't find my way back. I'm glad you found me. I'm glad too, my mother said. I noticed her wipe away a tear. I'm so glad. That hour you were gone, Brian, that was the most afraid I've ever been. Afraid we wouldn't find you. Afraid you might get hurt or worse. I couldn't hardly breathe through the fear. Then suddenly, you were there, and the relief nearly knocked me over. I think we stayed up together the rest of the night watching the stars. Wanted to make sure you could find the North Star in case you ever got lost again. She turned back to me, reached out her thin hand, reached out her thin hand and placed it over mine. There were still tears in her eyes, but she smiled her lighthouse smile, and for a moment I saw her just as she was the night I ran away and my mom found me. I squeezed her hand. I was scared too. I was afraid I'd be stuck out there. What made you think of it? Well, I've been thinking about dying lately, and... Don't, I interrupted. Don't talk like that. You're not going anywhere. Not for a long time. It's okay, she said, squeezing my hand back. It's okay. I've known real fear, and what I'm feeling now, it's not like that. I'm scared, I guess, but I'm at peace with it. I had such a beautiful life. I'm so glad I got to meet you and to be your mom. I'm glad too, I whispered, voice breaking on the last word. But I won't let you go without a fight, I added silently in my mind. Something was trying to get my mom. The strangeness began the day after I lit the candle. First it was small blips, tiny wrongs that I chalked up to my imaginations. Doors I knew I'd closed at night were open in the morning. Food began to rot and spoil within days of me bringing it into the house. Eventually food would just go bad almost immediately. Eventually, every few hours, the television in the living room would either turn off if it was running, or on if it was off. Clocks would stop overnight, always at 3:03 a.m. Shadows began sticking to the corners of rooms, independent of any light source. The shadows were stubborn, and they would linger for as long as I would stare, then disappear when I blinked. I began hearing bumps and knocks at all hours, and sometimes, when I'd enter an empty room, I had a sharp, fleeting certainty that it was only just occupied. I avoided the dining room except to check in twice a day to see if the candle was still burning. The smell was vicious and would claw its way into your throat and nostrils the moment it was given a chance. I kept the door to the room shut and kept air fresheners running in the surrounding rooms 24/7. The funny thing was, the candle never went out. Never seemed to shrink. I could see the axe melting, but day in and day out, the candle refused to change. Days marched into weeks, and the wrongness only grew deeper. My mom and I both lost sleep to vivid nightmares that we wouldn't remember when we woke up. Only the echoes remained, but those were enough to keep my pulse sprinting until morning. I started sleeping in a chair in my mother's room. I did this to comfort her if she woke up confused during the night, but also because, if I'm being honest, I was too scared to sleep alone. I felt like a child running into his parents' room, convinced there was a monster under the bed. Thing is, maybe there was, but the third week I couldn't keep doors closed. They would slam open the moment I left the room. A terrible scratching began inside the walls. I told my mom it might be squirrels or mice, but the sound was so insistent, not like rodents milling around, more like a dog wanting in. I stopped leaving the house for supplies. Instead, I had what little food we ate delivered. I kept the curtains down. There was a tapping on the glass every night. About a month after leaving the hospital, we were living like zombies. The dining room couldn't contain the smell of the candle anymore. The entire house was clogged with the scent. Tiny noises had graduated to full-on laughs and screams and whispers in the rooms around us. Something kicking the bathroom door so hard while I was taking a shower that the hinges warped. I covered every mirror in the house. I had started to see things in the corners looking back at me. Half-hidden faces. Shapes that skittered away as soon as I turned around. Mother was drifting further and further away. She'd have long moments of confusion where she'd forget my name. Forget where we were. Sometimes she'd think I was my dad. Other days she'd just stare at the wall for hours. Growing fainter and fainter each day like a Polaroid left in the sun. But she was alive. It was clear that we were under siege by something. My world shrank to only one room, and every trip to the bathroom or to answer the door for food felt like going over the trenches. The noises kept getting worse, the shadows closer, the sense of movement around the house sharper. Every now and then, I would find hot breath on the back of my neck, or walk through a cold patch hanging in the air. I stopped bothering redrawing the lines of salt around the house. I knew deep down in my bones, as long as the sickly candle burned, death could not take my mom. On the 33rd day after leaving the hospital, I woke up with a start from a nightmare, only to find my mom's bed empty. She hadn't been able to walk the past week at all, so my first feeling was hope that she might be improving, at least a little. Then I noticed the odor we've been living with for weeks was gone. "Mom," I shouted, running in, bare-feeted out of the room. I found her in the dining room, the door wide open. She was standing at the table, frail as a neglected scarecrow, bobbing back and forth. Her hands were hovering over the candle. The flame was out. "Why did you do that?" I whispered. Mom, are you okay?" I patted into the room. The wooden floor is freezing cold. My mom didn't react to my presence. She just continued rocking, side to side. I realized she was still asleep. "Mom," I gently took her shoulder. "Wake up." Her head snapped back, and she nearly fell. I caught her on the way down. It felt like she weighed nothing. "What's going on?" she asked, looking around the dark room. "Where?" "You're okay," I told her. "You were sleepwalking." "I was having the most unusual dream," Mom muttered. "There were so many stars and..." She began to shiver uncontrollably. The cold hit me a moment later. I let out a gasp. The house was chilly before, but the dining room was nearly Arctic. My breath bloomed into a thin cloud in front of my face. I became acutely aware of the complete silence filling the house. Then I heard scratching. It was coming all throughout the house, deep tearing sounds of the walls or on the dining floor. Footsteps came immediately after, heavy and fast. Somewhere in the house, a window shattered. "Brian," my mom said, holding on to me. "Don't worry," I said. "Everything will be..." My voice deserted me as a massive shadow unfolded in the corner of the room. It was shaped like a man, but tall. So very tall. But it was fast. Before I could yell, the shadow was on us, pouring over my mother in the space of a heartbeat. She was simply gone. No, I whispered, clawing at the dissolving shadow where my mom used to be. No, 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 no. The shadow had disappeared like a puddle sinking into the floor. There was a texture to it, oily, and too slick to hold. Thought of my mother the night she found me lost in the woods. The night I'd run away, her face filled my memory, her lighthouse smile. I remember the relief I felt when she found me, the overwhelming love. I held on to that feeling, clutching it close. You can't have her, I whispered. I closed my fist around the last thread of the shadow. There was a terrible sensation of pulling. It was like I'd caught a horse by the tail and it was trying to shake me, but I held on. A sense of ripping and being dragged. It was a riptide with a mind of its own, but I held on. It could not shake me. The temperature was dropping every second, and I felt my vision growing dark. The last thought that ran through my head before I blacked out was a promise to myself. Even if I died, my grip would hold. I wouldn't let my mother's life slip away. All sounds and light faded, narrowing to a pinprick, and then going black. I woke up under a field of stars. I was lying in soft grass, still wearing my pajama bottoms and an old t-shirt. It was cool, wherever it was, but comfortably so. I stood up. There was trees all around me, tall and close, stitched together with shadows. Immediately to my right there was a road that ran straight as far as I could see, blurring into the horizon. But the stars, they were like nothing I'd ever seen before. Bright ribbons of northern lights rippled above me in green and blue and purple. Stars like the sky. Stars lit the sky like millions of lanterns floating on still screen. The moon showed sharpest of all, a spotlight hanging above the tree line so close I could stretch up to brush its face. "You are persistent," said a voice from the forest behind me. I whipped around but couldn't see anyone. The dark spot began to clarify against the gloom. The silhouette separated itself and moved towards me. I recognized it instantly as a shadow from the dining room. As I moved closer, the thing grew and grew until it touched the sky and veiled my vision. "Give me back my mom," I shouted. The silhouette pulled away from the sky, and then it was standing in front of me, the shape and size of a tall man, but instead of a shadow, the thing had wrapped itself in stars, miniature constellations drifting across its body, floating like a time-lapse of a clear night sky. Burning brightest was the North Star, blue and warm. The space between the stars was absolutely black, not a shadow, but a complete absence of light. It was the most beautiful, terrifying thing I'd ever seen. "Who are you?" I whispered.
"You know,"
it replied. "Give her back," I begged. "Please, give her back."
"I can't. It's her time. Past her time. You delayed me. You delayed her."
I clenched my fist. She didn't get enough time. I didn't get enough time. It's not right. It's not fair.
"Of course it's fair,"
the starry thing said.
"but it is right. You each have your time, and by the end of it, there's me, there's road, and we walk it together."
"Where to?" I asked. "Where are you taking her?"
"I don't know. It's not for me to know, only to know how to get there."
"Then I won't let you take her." I pointed myself in the road.
The world was still and solemn around us. The constellations drifted like clouds, and the soft breeze stirred the branches. The starry thing didn't respond for a moment. Your mother was kind and caring. She will have peace, it promised. But the creature raised its hand. Did you ever stop to think that death wasn't an enemy? Death simply is. It is the natural partner to life. It knows no prejudice or malice, has no design or ambitions. Your mother spent so long suffering, felt so much pain. Instead of letting her rest, you took it upon yourself to draw her life beyond its given course. You kept her alive at the cost of stretching her thin, prolonging her sickness, diluting her. Did you keep her alive for her benefit or for yours? I couldn't answer. Oh man, I'm like putting myself to sleep. Stretching a life is unnatural, dangerous, it told me. In the weeks you kept me away, you drew the attention of old things, hungry things, forces that will like nothing before, who would like nothing more than to swallow every memory of your mother, to tear and bite. There was nothing left but pain and fear and a perfect emptiness. I shuddered, remembering the clawing sound, the shattered window, and the laughter from empty rooms. I'm sorry, I whispered. Can they hurt her here? Is she safe? Thank you for head pats, Viper. The star and the shadow burned brighter for a moment. Your mother will not walk her road alone. None of you do. I walk with you. Always. To the end. Hi, Murphy. We're doing ASMR. Hello, that's right, we're doing some scary time. Some scary stories. So we're walking around you. I'm kinda telling you some fun things. That's right, hi, I'm here. And I'm over here too. Now we're back. Don't worry. You're doing things to me. Oh, I'm just telling a story. Can I see her? I asked. Please. Let me say goodbye. He considered for a few seconds. You are persistent. And the starry thing was gone. And I was standing alone on an empty road. Brian. I turned to find my mother behind me on the road. She looked younger, healthier than I'd seen her in years. The frailty was gone, and my mother seemed exactly as I remembered her when she found me in the woods all those years ago. Isn't this the most beautiful dream? She asked, staring up at the night sky. Yeah, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. A beautiful dream. I love you, Mom. I love you so much. So very much. She smiled and touched my cheek. I love you too. Don't cry, it's okay. I'll wake up any time now, and I'll see you then. I nodded, wiping a tear. Sure. Yeah. I'll see you then. What do you think is at the end of the road? She asked. Do you think I'll have time to find out before I wake up? Oh, hi, Blue Slime. Welcome in. Hello. How's your day going? Are you enjoying the ASMR? I hope so. Hi there. Oh, it's Marl. Hi, Marl. We're doing some ASMR. And we're doing some fun little scary story readings. This one's not as scary, but this one's a good time. We're doing story time. We've been blessed. I'm glad you're having fun. I'm not gay, but I'm glad you're enjoying Blue Slime. But yeah, Choco's not sus, no, never. I look at the road, scanning the trees for any hungry shadows. I don't know. I don't know where it goes, but promise me you'll be careful. My mom smiled wider. Of course I'll be careful. And you won't walk alone, said a familiar voice behind us both. I turned, expecting the starry thing, but the man standing on the road was entirely normal. The light from the moon was enough that I could see he had moss-green eyes and a bright shock of red hair. Such a beautiful dream, my mother said. The man came towards us and took my mother's hand. He and I looked so alike I could see why my mother confused us when she was sick. Take care of her, he told the man. Just please take care of her. Make sure she gets where she's going. There are things out there that want to hurt her, to hunt. I want her. It's my fault. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The man squeezed my shoulder. She'll be safe, watched over. The devil himself is waiting on the road ahead. He'll move. Or he'll be moved. I believed him. Oh, my thumbnail. Oh no. I could have sworn I uploaded it. Let's fix that. Let's see here. Thank you for letting me know. Put a lot of effort into those and I keep forgetting. Can't believe I forgot again. Thanks for throwing things at me, Choco. Okay, give it a reload, see if that works okay. Let me know if that thumbnail's any different. I believed him. Good job, puppy. Thank you, Choco. Okay. Thoughts raced through my head. There were so many things I wanted to say, questions, a million ways to say goodbye. I wanted to stretch out the moment for as long as I could, but I realized I already delayed my mother enough. I love you, I told them both. Goodbye. I woke up back in my dining room, sitting at the table. The unlit candle in front of me. The house was quiet. Still, there was no more scratching. No sound or sense of life at all. I walked through every room. The house was empty, and I was alone. I spent the past couple months working on the house, erasing the marks I'd made, fixing up the property. Some nights I take long walks out into the forest. I'm far enough and out into the country that on clear nights it's like looking up at the sea of stars. I think about my mom the most during those walks. I grieve and remember in my own way. And I wonder where their road went, if they're still traveling or if they've reached their destination. I hope that their road takes them strange and beautiful places. When I walk at night, I look up for the North Star to keep from getting lost. Maybe they do the same. When it's full, I almost look up towards the moon. I wonder if my parents had a chance to visit, to search for hidden oceans. I like to think they did. That the moon has at least one Maria. The one that I love most. That's the end. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was very sad, yes. Well, thank you guys for enjoying the readings.
I think we're probably going to need to end. My voice is getting a little tired and I'm getting kind of sleepy. Thank you for the stories, Tubo. Thank you for listening, Viper. I appreciate it. Here's what we can do. We can try and figure out who to raid. If we're going to do one at all, I'm a little worried about waking people up, and I don't necessarily want to do that too much. So I'll look maybe for an ASMR, and if I can't find one, then we'll end. I do think that ending may be a little bit better than anything else. So let me see. I shouldn't have any Google Chrome sound, so I hope you guys can't hear this. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the ASMR here is kind of horny bait. This is pretty horny bait. It's a woman licking the microphone that I was trying to figure out how to use. Yeah, that's horny bait. Is this horny bait? It is. It's a woman in a bra rubbing the microphone with. Okay, what's this? This is also a woman in lingerie. Why is everyone so inappropriate? Well, I think we end live mommy ASMR. Oh, only available to subscribers. Okay. Yeah, I cannot really find anything that's not something that I imagine people are enjoying in ways that people probably weren't enjoying this stream. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciated you guys who were staying. You guys were very good to me, so thank you very much. And I'm over here. And I'm over here. Hello. Hi. It's Toba. Can you hear me? I'm right here. Hello. Thank you for stream. Thank you, Murphy. Thanks for staying, popping in. If you guys need any ASMR for sleep and want to listen to some stories, feel free to go back to this live. It's on my YouTube. Thank you guys so much for watching. Marl, thank you for telling me about my thumbnail. I appreciate it. Well, Council, if you want to do the Discord and the socials, I think that would be good for the night. I don't think we're going to be raiding, because I don't want anyone sleeping to wake up. Thank you, Council. And thank you, Marl. Yes, thank you very much. So we're going to end on both at the same time. It's kind of new. Yes, oh yes, me.
Who are you?
Oh no. I'm about to end. Hello. Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tubo. I'm your local animal spirit guide, and my job is to fetch pet souls and bring them to the afterlife. But the journey is nice and long, and, you guys don't have to, get there anytime soon, so instead we get to hang out. But yeah. How was your stream? What did you play? Geodash. How was Geodash? Did you have fun? Did you enjoy it? Cool. We know, that's good. I'm glad you guys know me. Well, welcome in. For those of you who do know me, welcome back. I'm about to end, and since a lot of people in chat are probably sleeping, we're gonna have to end. Just normal. I haven't just ended in a really long time. So,
Yeah, I appreciate the raid so much. Thank you, Takume. That's very sweet. Um, you're very sweet, thank you. But yeah, I don't want to wake anyone in case. But yes, this VOD will be on YouTube if you guys want something calming to listen to. Feel free to go over there and listen to it that way. I hope you guys enjoyed. My socials was listed up there. My Discord was up there. Everyone, make sure to give Takume some love. The wonderful Takume. Thank you, thank you. Hi, Atreides. Wake up, wake up. No, no. Atreides, we gotta let them sleep, you know what I mean? Otherwise, they're not gonna be able to get what they need to get done tomorrow. I've been working so hard to put everyone to bed. So we're gonna make sure they do. Okay? Maybe we can agree on a person that people could go to after as an unofficial Tubu raid. You guys think that would be fun? I think that would be fun. Do you guys enjoy that? What do you think? A what? 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 Bye-bye, Tubo. Yes, bye, everyone. Why don't we do a... You sound like Pac-Man? Yes, I am Pac-Man. Okay. Good night, everybody. I won't even do an unofficial raid. You guys should go to another streamer that you guys know and give them some love and attention. Just tell them that Tubo says hi, okay? Whoever you guys decide to pick. Good night, Murphy. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Okay, everyone. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys eat lots of water and drink lots of food. And have a great rest of your night. I hope you guys don't miss me too much. We didn't get where we needed to go, but the afterlife can wait till next time. I'm probably going to be streaming again either Friday or Saturday. I think Saturday's the last day of the Subathon. I'll try and do maybe an earlier stream for you guys. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Awa awa. Have a good night, guys. Yuri. Bye-bye.